Good evening. I want to thank everyone for being here tonight, whether you're in this room or I don't know if there's any overflow or if you're watching at home. First of all, I want to say there should be some cards, index cards that I think have been passed out. And if you don't have one and would like one, please raise your hand. They're for you to write down some questions, and they're going to be collected, and then the questions will be answered at the end of this meeting. My name is Lodge Daltridge, and I represent Ward 5 on the Rocky Mount City Council, and I'm joined today by Councilman Tom Harris, who currently serves as our Mayor Pro Tem and represents Ward 6. And then further down to the left is Ward 7 Representative Jabaris Walker. We are here with staff to share the facts as we understand them today. This is a fluid situation, and details may change as we learn more. Each of us is committed to keeping you up to date in the coming weeks and months if any details do change. And I do know that there's a website, and I'm sure City Manager Daniels will tell you more about that just went live today. First, let me be clear, the city is not broke, but we are facing serious cash flow issues that need immediate attention. The Rocky Mount City Council operates under a council manager form of government, majority rules, and we all share responsibility for outcomes. Looking back, it is easy to see things we wish had been done differently. Each of us did ask a lot of detailed questions, but we still ended up in this situation. Let me say this again. The City Council is responsible for this current situation. The buck stops here, as they say. Both Councilman Harris and Jabaris Walker agree. We're not going to waste time pointing fingers. We're focused on a path forward to a solution, and we'll work with our colleagues to stay focused on that. According to our Mayor, Sandy Robertson, the state auditor already has a team in Rocky Mount conducting a forensic audit. We are grateful they are here, and we hope their review is comprehensive, looking at every aspect of the city's finances over multiple years. Their work is fully independent and will be made public once completed. If it turns out that the review is not as comprehensive as needed, or there are areas that require further investigation, we will support bringing a third-party team in to complete the task. At this point, we do not believe there has been any wrongdoing, but the facts will only be clear once the audit is complete. We want answers too. It is also important to note that every city budget presented by the city manager and his team to this council was balanced and did not indicate cash flow issues. We now know the numbers were not accurate. Information requested by council has not always been provided despite numerous requests. Since I've been on this council, we have not received a balance sheet from any city manager until now. Unbelievable. That's one thing that will change moving forward. We have the right person in the city manager position to ensure that happens. Finally, I want to acknowledge that what this means for our community. We know these issues affect real people, you, and our staff. We wish there were better alternatives to the cost savings measures and revenue generating actions being considered, but as a municipality, our options are limited. We remain committed to working together as one city to face this challenge, learn from it, move forward responsibly. And before we turn this over to our city manager, Elton Daniels, and our finance director, Cheryl Spivey, I think Councilman or Mayor Pro Tem Tom Harris and Jabaris Walker would like to make a few comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Daltridge. Your opening remarks were well prepared and well stated. I have been on the council for 3 years. In all my life, I relied on financial statements and other information in order for me to make decisions. Looking back, I've done a lot of reflection. There are a couple of questions I wish I had asked, but we are now here to talk about the future. And I want to stress to all of you, if I continue to serve as Ward 6 representative and as a member of the 7-body city council working with the mayor and with the manager and his staff, we are going to be open and united in how we move forward and making sure that all of you will be kept informed. We must have timely and accurate information. And I have been pleased with the efforts that have been made by Manager Daniels in the recent weeks. And I feel confident that with Manager Daniels and with the Finance Director Cheryl Spivey, we will have financial information to you as soon as we receive it, because you want that information. We failed to provide you that information. And again, I apologize for not asking some questions, but I did ask a lot and ask for other things, and I think things will be different in the future. And I thank you.
So I think, like the other council people have said, even on Monday night, I think I echo the same thing tonight. If I could have done some things different, we probably would have asked a few more questions, totally different than what we did. You went off what you had in front of you. You went back and studied it. You talked to everybody, discussed it. Decisions we made, you thought were the right ones. We thought we was moving in facts. So moving forward, we got to do something a little bit different. I think what has maybe put us in the condition we're in is the finance director piece, but I think we have the right people on the team to make the right decisions. Also, I think the councils moving forward, since we found this information, we put a plan together. LGC's on the ground, state auditors on the ground, everybody's communicating, trying to do the best we can to make the best decisions to get out of the situation we are in. And like everybody's been saying, I think we here tonight to address, I guess, the rumors that are not true, try to get the facts, and we're moving the facts. And I'm not here to tell my side. I'm here to try to see what we can do as a collective group to move forward and help Rocky Mount move forward, because I know it's a lot out there. We want to try to get out in front of the best we can with the facts. That's all you can do. I'm not here to tell my side. I'm here to just rewrite history and try to get it right from here going forward. So I turn it over to the city manager and finance director.
Thank you, council members, and thank you for the confidence that you have in me and my team. You do have my word that you will get reports in a timely fashion, and you also have my word that we'll present that information to the public as well. With that said, we'll get into the presentation. So this is just a little bit of background about myself and my colleague, Cheryl. If you don't know me, my name is Elton Daniels. I've been with the city for just over 6 years. A large part of that time here in the city has been as assistant city manager. And during my role as assistant city manager, I was over the operations, so Parks and Rec, Public Works, Water Resources, engineering, things of that sort. And then in April, the council promoted me to to city manager from assistant. I have about 17 years in local government management here in North Carolina. Part of my career was working for the state. I was a magistrate judge in Brunswick County. I've been a manager for most of my career. I'd say all of my career, except a brief stint here in Rocky Mount when I was hired originally as the Parks and Recreation Director. Cheryl has 35 years of government experience. Some of that has been in Virginia. A majority of that has been in North Carolina. She actually retired from North Carolina and then moved to Virginia for a few years, but I was able to convince her to come back. So thank you, Cheryl, for coming back. She's been the assistant director of the local government commission from 1997 to 2000 in the fiscal management division. She's worked in Cary, Wake County, Fayetteville, as well as some public school systems in Virginia. So enough about us. Let's get into the presentation. Earlier, you heard the council members mention that we're going to do our best to try to provide information to the public. So you'll notice that some of the slides tonight have small print. As of today, you can go to this website and look at the same information that we have, and we'll continuously update the website with information as we get it. So that website is rmfinancialoutlook.com. Keep in mind that some of the projections that we talk about are projections. They are not factual information. It's something that we're projecting. As we get new information, we'll update the information that we present. But there are a couple of slides that are solely projections, and there are other information that's already have been audited and is factual. But the projections are just our best estimate based on the research and the information that we currently have. But again, as we get new information, we'll update the projections. Some of you have already asked some questions, and we've seen a lot of things in the media as well as social media, so we want to try to address some of those now. Does the city have a $30 million deficit? The answer to that is no. The city does not have a deficit at all, in fact. However, our fund balance, which is similar to a personal savings account, has significantly decreased over the past few years. Will there be cuts to police and fire services? The reason why we put that up there is because initially, I think someone sent us some information about a report about 27 or 30 police officers being cut or laid off. That's not true. Every department will have cuts, including police and the fire, but from what I've seen thus far, you're looking at about 10 to 15 positions in police, maybe 5 to 10 in fire. And some of those positions are not actual people. It's just vacancies that we currently have. So we just want to make sure that we stick to the facts. Not saying that it won't be 15. That's just an estimate. It could be 15, could be 16, could be 10, could be 9, but definitely not 27. When did the fund balance begin to decline? According to what we have, the significant decline started in 2023. How much money does the city currently have? The city has approximately $20 million, with about $8 million of that restricted for a specific use. We have a state grant that is supposed to go towards a judicial center as well as affordable housing. So of that $20 million, about $8 million cannot be used for our regular operations. So that leaves us with about $12 million total. This chart is a little hard to read on the site, but if you have your phones available, you can go to the website. This shows our cash and investment balance, and it starts with 2019. So if you look at the far left, that 2019 number is $113,323,680. So in 2019, the reason why we started with 2019 is because that's what the local government commission had asked us to start, because that was pre-COVID. We wanted to make sure that we showed a pretty good picture of what a normal year would look like. So in a normal year, that's where we were. In 2020, we dropped down to about 108 million, and then in 2021, we were back into 121 million because during that COVID year, a lot of organizations just started saving because we were going through something that we had never experienced before. I know I have never experienced a pandemic in my life. I don't know about you all, but we just started to save and save because we just didn't know what tomorrow was going to hold. I will like to note that during that time, the city of Rocky Mount did not lay off anyone. There were a lot of organizations throughout the state and throughout the world that sent people home at that point in time. The city of Rocky Mount, not only did we not lay anybody off during that period, we kept people paid during the entire time. So I think that's something too important to note. As you look down, my laser doesn't work on the screen, but if you look down where you see the significant drop, that starts right in 2023, and then the last point on that slide is 2025 August. So where did the money go? That's a lot of questions that a lot of people are asking. According to what we know today, our total expenses for the last several years averaged about $240 million per year. In 2023, there was a jump to $300 million per year. That jump largely had to do with personnel costs. During that time, we increased staffing, not just the amount of people, but the amount that we paid people. That number increased. So on the years prior to 2023, our staffing costs was around 70 million. In 2023, it went up to 94, and then up to 98 is where we are today. So right around 100 million is our staffing costs. The biggest increase, however, was in our capital and debt services. That went up from 26 million to 67 million in 1 year, starting in 2023.
Mr. Daniels, if we could go to that capital debt service of the increase and where we are today with our cash, what impact did that have on our cash over the 2 years of the reduction when the previous slide that you showed? It's my understanding we did about $106 million worth of purchases and capital outlays. Is that correct?
That is correct. During that time, we paid for a lot of heavy-duty equipment, fire trucks, public works trucks. I think the city also made some land purchases during that time, and a large part of that was cash. That's correct.
So all of that, how much of it was cash that we're aware of?
Cheryl, that may be a finance question. Cheryl, do you have that information available?
I don't have it in front of me. I know I did.
I know.
That's something that we could put on the website
Right.
for our,
Well, I think it's important to know that we instead of financing a lot of this, we paid out of it cash. And it's just like each one of us, if we go and make a big purchase, whether it be a vehicle or a house, we typically go get financing. Where the cash has a big portion of it has gone is where about $60 million of it went to these big capital purchases as opposed to financing. And where we are right now is a cash flow issue. And please correct me if I'm wrong. And that includes everything from what has been mentioned, the fire trucks. And if y'all recall, we had issues with not having operable fire trucks and trash trucks. In fact, we went through a period where we were unable to collect trash. And then we also, I think we had to borrow a trash truck. So this council was in a predicament. We had to go and buy these large trucks. And, you don't go just buy a fire truck. You have to go and it's specially outfitted for Rocky Mountain. It takes 24 to 36 months is my understanding. I could be off on that. And so, there's some big purchases that we had to do and complete for the life and safety of the citizens of Rocky Mount. And I just want to be clear that a large portion of that cash was with the capital outlays when probably it should have been financed, quite honestly. And then, yes, we did go through some property acquisitions, whether it be the 336, which is the land out there on 95 where they're going to put the new exit, or we've purchased a lot of property in downtown Rocky Mount. We've done upfit to various buildings, whether it be here or at, even Fire Station number 2. I mean, that's $11 million for Fire Station number 2 that we just opened a month ago. And that was $11.5 million. And then we had property surrounding that. And then in addition, we've recently purchased some property off of Sunset right next to that 336 is because the plans, we need another fire station, again, for life and safety, along with some, a substation for electricity. So it's, I want to assure the public, yes, we have a cash flow issue, but it's not like we were going out spending money for frivolous things. I mean, we can probably debate a lot of the things that the money was spent on. But I just wanted to bring that to everyone's attention because I think it's important to know that because I think, a lot of people, including myself, it's like, where in the hell did all this money go? And Great question. And we've asked for detail, and I want to touch on Ms. Spivey. She came in, how long you been here? 2.5 months or 2 months?
Almost three.
3 months.
She started July 7th.
So within 2 months, she had, there's a lot going on here. And then she was able to bring this to the attention. I think, I know I received a call from Manager Daniels 3 weeks ago, informing me of the issue. And I think you contacted each council person. And then we had to come together, which is kind of where we are tonight. But I say that because we have had issues with our finance staff. We've had very seasoned finance staff for many, many years leave for various reasons. And when our finance director left and went to a neighboring town, and soon after a lot 3 to 5, I'm not exactly sure how many left. And it really decimated that department down there. We still have good people down there, but right now, Ms. Spivey's having to come in, not only be a finance director, but she's also having to do the day-to-day work. So that's why when we say this is a fluid thing going on right now, she and her staff, and even bringing in some temporary staff right now, are working day and night to try to get us answers. So I want to be clear with that. It's not that we're trying to stonewall. It's that when she's out there working, because she's working on 2 audits right now. And I'll just leave it there. But I wanted to stop on that capital debt and service and make those comments. Sorry for interrupting you.
No, you're fine. I will say that you are correct on the lead time for equipment because, during my time as assistant, I was involved with like operations. So I know it takes for fire trucks anywhere from 2 to 3 years to get those trucks. And it's my understanding that when those cash purchases were made, they were made because we got a discount for using cash at that point in time. And then also with the public works utility trucks, they don't take necessarily 3 years, but they do have a long lead time. I would say those are about anywhere from 9 to 18 months on those. So I do think that the decision were made trying to have a savings on the upfront costs as well as trying to get those things in, because when there were talks of potential tariffs and things of that sort, we didn't know where prices were going to be. So when you had a deal and you know what the price was, we knew that everything was going to be going up. So I do know that is a fact. I think you mentioned something about Cheryl and her staff. We still have some vacancies in finance. You're correct. We're currently doing our audit that is mandated by the state, which used to be due October 31st, which is now going to be due December 31st of this year. Last year, the audit was several months late. And when we're building the budget is based off of the audit being complete. But this previous year, when I became manager, the audit was not complete when we were trying to put together the budget. But moving forward, under my administration, my goal is to make sure that the audit is, number one, turned in on time, and that the budgeting process starts early during the year as well.
Mr. Manager, I just want to say we were not silent in council meetings about these asset acquisitions. Just about every council person, maybe not all at one time, but over a period of time, we asked, Mr. Manager, can we afford this? Should we look at alternatives? And we were assured that, yes, we can afford it. That message was given on a number of occasions.
Just want to be clear, you were not talking about me during that time.
We're talking about the period of 22, 23, 24.
Thank you for that addition. Moving right along to our next slide, which this is our general fund. So our general fund are the departments that are non-enterprise, non-business type. So your Parks and Recreation Department, your Public Works for the most part, police, fire, these are the funds that are considered general fund for North Carolina local governments. The fund balance, again, is our savings account. So if you look back, the far left bar is the year 2020. And our unassigned fund balance, which unassigned means this is the money that we could use freely. We have more fund balance, but some of that fund balance is restricted. So that meaning that it has to be used for a specific purpose or it's already encumbered. So in 2020, our unassigned fund balance, so this is the money we had access to, the city had approximately 16 million. In the next year, 2021, 18 million. In 2022, 20 million. In 2023, 18 million. And then in fiscal year 24, 6.5 million. And this was brought up. I don't know if any of you followed our budgeting process this year, but this was brought to the attention that our fund balance had dripped below our city policy. So the city policy, we have an internal policy in which we must keep about 10% in our fund balance. And then the state general rule depends, and it varies from city to county, but the typical thing over the past few years has been 8%, but the city has a policy that we're supposed to keep more than that general rule of 8%. So the city has an internal policy of 10%. We were below that, and we won't know where we are for 2025 until we complete this year's audit. This next slide shows our unassigned fund balance across all accounts. So this includes our enterprise funds. When I say enterprise funds, I'm referring to the business accounts. So your utility bills, your water, your sewer, your electric. Across all funds for unassigned fund balance, we had a total in 2020 of around 71 million. Then for the next few years, it floated around that. In 2023, we were in 58 million. And then in 2024, which is the last audit that we have, we were at 44 million across all accounts. And again, I know you can't see these numbers on some of these slides, but they will be available online. In fact, they're already online. Cash balance as of September 29th. Again, this is a moving target. It fluctuates from day to day, but over the next couple of days, it's been around 20 million. And this was as of, I think the 29th was Monday. This is the slide that I was talking about earlier. That is a projection. Again, this is not concrete, but the first night that we did this presentation, we tried to clean it up a little bit and round off to make the numbers a little bit more easy to understand, as well as kind of color coded. So if you look at the top, you'll see in September, we have a cash balance of about 19 million. And then if you add all the blue numbers, which is where our revenue, that accounts for our property taxes, sale taxes, electric, gas sales, as well as our water and sewer. When you add that all together, you'll have 40 million. Then our expenditures each month range around 20 million. October, you'll see that there's a big drop. October is because each month, from a payroll standpoint, it takes us about 8.1, 8.2 million for payroll. If you're a 26 pay period organization like the city of Rocky Mount is, there are 2 months within a 12-month calendar year that employees get paid 3 times in 1 month. For us, it happens in October. So that's why you see a larger dip in October. That ends the presentation. Again, we do have all of these slides available online at rmfinancialoutlook.com, but I'll entertain any questions that council or the public has.
Well, before we go to the questions, I do want to, in my opening statement, I was talking about our the balance sheet that we have not received. And over the weekend, and I can guarantee you, every council member and the mayor, this has been consuming us since we found out. And over the weekend, I was thinking, going back and really questioning if the balance sheet, if I had ever seen one or had one, because sometimes you get information you don't remember. And I've asked around, and then it finally dawned on me is when I was looking into our yearly audit. We get this yearly, it's presented to us, and then if you go in there, it's, I don't know how many pages this is, but it's a lot. There's a note section, and this year it was happened to be note 2. It does list what we have is bank balance, and it does list the North Carolina Capital Management Trust, which is kind of like a savings account. In that, it only lists where you end June 30 of each year of that audit. The problem there, and I don't know about you, but many of us, I like to see previous years, previous months, year to date, year to date last year, things of that nature. And I've asked, in fact, I asked Ms. Spivey yesterday, and I don't know if we're going to be able to do it, but in future audits that we get to list, like I went through a spreadsheet and created, going all the way back to 2013. That would be the closest thing to a balance sheet that I've seen since I've been on this council. Not an excuse. It's just I'm trying to tell you where my head is. I can't speak for the others, but and then when it's in this format, it's clear beginning in 23 where things are going down dramatically.
Okay, we've pulled these. Joe will be going around. If you have not turned yours in, we'll be collecting them. One question we had is, who was the mayor pro tem while the previous city manager was hired when he was here?
In 20, I preceded Councilman Harris, and then before that was Councilman T.J. Walker.
Okay. Couple with that. Does the city council hire the city manager, and what is their yardstick of qualities that they use? The yardstick when it comes to qualities.
Yes, we hire the city manager. And
Okay.
we hire, I mean, we're responsible for city manager, city clerk, and the city attorney. They're the three people that report to the city council. What are the qualifications? I mean, you want someone that has experience within city government. You want someone that typically most people have gone to school of government type, like UNC Chapel Hill. Most of them have master's degrees. They, qualified people.
The previous two managers, and Manager Daniels is not who I'm referring to. The city employed, I believe, consulting firm to help in gathering resumes and helped us. I wasn't on the council when the second person in the past was hired, but there was extensive reliance on the consulting firm hired to help with a lot of due diligence, screening of applicants, and a lot of information shared by the consultant company to the council to consider the list of candidates that they have proposed.
Gotcha. You?
Guess I'm like Tom. I know we first got on council, the firm was already picked. I think we interviewed 4 or 5 candidates. You go through the intents, ask some questions. They came in. I think we done a in person with maybe 2 of them. So that's how we picked the first time with the first city manager. I know with city manager Daniels, it was different. When you look at the box, we knew he checked most of the boxes. So we didn't go through the hiring firm. We didn't waste taxpayers' dollars. I think we, from the mayor down to council, agreed that it was time to make him the city manager, and it was a great decision we made. So I think learning from the first time what we were presented with, you had your options. You couldn't go outside, and you picked from what you had, and that's what we went with, who we thought was the best candidate at that time. So we learned from it.
Got it. This one looks at the history. Did any finance staff reach out to council members during these last 2 years that you've marked as concerns?
No.
Yeah.
No.
What happens if the measures put forth don't work? In other words, what's the worst case scenario? We're referring to what we're projecting, I guess, what we're putting in place.
I'm going to turn that over to the manager.
Well, I like to have a positive outlook, but I would imagine that the worst case scenario would be that we're not able to have any cost saving measures. Our revenue doesn't make our projections, and possibly the state would have to come in and take over for a while, which like they've done in other jurisdictions in North Carolina. Not every state has a local government commission. The local government commission provides oversight. Cheryl and I have been in communications with them throughout this entire process. We actually reached out to them proactively. They did not reach out to us. We reached out to them to inform them of our situation. If you look back at Cheryl's background, she was actually the deputy director of the LGC for the fiscal management division back in the late 90s and early 2000s. So we do not feel that we're in jeopardy of being taken over. We just know that we have a difficult financial situation in the coming months, coming years that we have to get out of. But I think once we're done with our operational efficiency plan, it's actually going to make us more nimble and better. I feel like as a whole, the city has just grown too fast and we hadn't had the revenue to keep up with it. But I think this is an opportunity for us to level set and get back on the right track.
And there, go ahead. Yes, Mr. Harris.
The city over the last few years outran its headlights in terms of spending. We have a good source of income or revenue. We just spent too much money. And efforts will be made to look at all areas of expenses in order to improve what we are presently in, and more importantly, we are committed to make changes, not just in the near term, but in the long term. You want us to make changes, and I assure you, I'm going to work hard that we can better control our expenses as we plan for the future.
One of the areas you mentioned was the land. Someone asked, "What is our plan with that land?" If we have anything to speak to that.
Well, we have multiple land. So I assume you're talking about
It's-
the land off 95 to 336. That's actively being marketed through the Chamber of Commerce. It's a prime piece of property. I think that was the financing was for a little
59 months.
59 months. Thank you. So right now we paid I think we put about $1.6 million in cash for that land. It would cost us right at $15.5 million for all that land. And it's being marketed right now. We do have options on 17 or 19 of the acres. I can't remember the exact amount. Those options go through January, I believe. Please don't quote me on that. I'm going from memory, which is sometimes dangerous. And that is a wonderful opportunity for our community. Our community cannot grow because we can't go through annexation. And where we got there with that is the Carolinas Gateway Partnership, which is our economic development team, went through and gathered the options for that land, which, in other words, they got all of the landowners who agreed to sell their land and for a certain price, and they had a certain amount of time to option that land to go and buy that land. That's the best way I can explain it. Someone might be able to explain it better. But after, and that expired in December of 23 or 23. And so we had to act quickly, and we made the decision to go through and purchase that, and we did finance it. And I think that's going to be a wonderful opportunity because we'll generate sales tax, we'll generate property tax. It'll be an opportunity for electric, water, sewer, and then it'll also create jobs. I know there's been a lot of questions around that. Is there a casino going there? No. The state of North Carolina will not allow one even if we wanted one. But there's economic development, and there's some, and I don't know where those, I know I've seen somewhere, even maybe in your office, but I know at one point downstairs, we had a rendering of what could be down there. We do have land elsewhere. We have land downtown Rocky Mount. We've been acquiring land for a potential hotel. We've been acquiring land for parking. We've been acquiring land for a judicial center. And so there is a lot of land that has been purchased by the city of Rocky Mount. Again, adjacent to that 336 on Sunset, there's land for a fire station. and there's land, and behind the fire station, the plans are to put electrical substation of some sort. It's the best way I can explain it. So I'm not sure if that encompasses or answers the person's question, but there are plans, and I guess probably the question everybody has: what do you do if, from the previous question, if you got to do something? We're actively looking. We need to sell some assets. We need some cash. There's no doubt about it.
Mr. Harris?
Thank you. I've had a number of people say, Tom, why don't y'all just sell that property out on Old Carriage? We can do that. We probably have about $6 million in our cash in that total acreage, 1.5 or so for the initial purchase, and several other parcels had to be acquired. We could sell it, and if we do, we get $5, $6, $7, $8 million over and above what we have. That's a one-time gain, so to speak, but the long-term potential benefit may not be there. So we got to look at long-term what is in the best interest. And if we determine a year or two from now that we must market that property, we'll let everyone know. But right now, as Councilman Daltrich alluded, the future benefit is quite high. Yes, it's going to take time, but it's a prime piece of real estate, and to keep residential property owners from continuing to pay the bulk of the property tax, we want others to step in with commercial development that hopes to go out there, hotel, motel, a theme park, water park. There's a lot of ideas, a lot of retail sales with new shopping, etc. Give us a little time on this, but our focus right now is the challenge we have, and all of us are committed.
Thank you. So one speaks, and city manager may be able to speak to this, mentions how did we operate in negative for 2 years? And there was not monthly reports to speak to that, but I think you spoke to that before.
Yeah, I can't speak to the previous administration, but I will say that from an operational level, North Carolina does not allow cities to operate in a negative. And what typically happens at the end of the year is if you have operated like on a month-to-month basis in a negative, then you transfer your fund balance. So at the end of the year, when you do year-end closeout, you close out the year in the black. Cheryl, I'm going to defer to you to put that in technical terms.
Referring to, we have numerous funds, and some of our funds have operated better financially than others. So at the end of the year, we you combine them. They all get combined, and we end up with a total amount of fund balance, which is what we report to the local government commission. This year we're starting out with less than we have in the past, so that's where the changes are being made, so that we can maintain what we have, and we have a plan to rebuild.
And the other thing that I will mention is that we just had a budget process that took place, and the budget was adopted sometime in late June for the new fiscal year, which starts July 1. Being that we're in this new situation, uncharted territories, if you will, what I plan to do is present a revised budget that addresses our current financial situation.
This may speak just to government chain of commands, but I'll read the whole thing. What are the chain of commands? Who approves financial documents once, in this case, they're saying the city manager has approved or signed? And then if I can go ahead and say, what is the role of the city mayor? Basically, who does the checks and balances for the financial statuses?
I'll take a stab from our governmental status, and then council feel free to chime in. So earlier, I think Councilmember Daughtry mentioned that the city operates under the council manager form of government. In North Carolina, that is what majority of cities our size operate at under, and across the nation, that is generally the preferred form of government. Council manager. Under the council manager form of government, the council hires the manager as well as the city clerk and the town attorney. From a financial aspect, each city has their own internal policies, but for the city of Rocky Mount, contracts above 90,000 have to go to the board. That's our internal policy. So any contract above 90,000 has to get the council's approval. Budget amendments go to the council, but on the day-to-day, departmental aspects, small contracts, go to the department head, but everything goes through finance. So the checks and balances are you have a finance staff, you have a city manager, and then if it's above the city manager's threshold, then it goes to council.
From our perspective, all council members rely on the accuracy of the information provided, and we want it timely.
I've seen stuff on social media, so this question, I did some extra research, was aware of most of it, but I wanted to confirm because I just didn't want to go off my memory. According to the School of Government, and I'm not going to read the whole thing, essentially the mayor presides over the council and is essentially the head of the face of the city. The council, we're in charge of general government, oversight of the city mainly. One of our main duties is to pass a balanced budget. And then, and I'm not reading everything on here, but then if you go down to the city manager, and this is going to, Manager Daniels hit on this, but the city manager is to prepare and submit the annual budget and capital program to the council, annually submit to the council and make available to the public a complete report on the finances and administrative activities of the city as of the end of the fiscal year, make any other reports that the council may require concerning the operations of city departments, offices, agencies subject to, and you can tell this was printed a long time ago, to his direction and control. So I think it's important to remember that and know that.
One question is basically about, we understand the position cuts and all of that. What other such cuts are there going to be made that maybe you can speak to?
Well, we'll likely have a reduction in force that affects the employees. We will be freezing certain vacancies that we have. We were looking at any service contracts that we have that are not essential. We'll look at either eliminating those or reducing those. There are some other things that we will be looking at with regard to benefits that employees get that are not mandatory or required by the state, looking at either reducing or eliminating those, and then just looking at any other operational efficiencies that we could have throughout. Our goal, though, is to make sure that other than the reduction in force, because we have several citizens that are also employees, but the impact to the citizens that are not employees, we're trying to limit that as much as possible. So, for example, if your garbage or recycle is picked up on a weekly basis, our goal is to try to maintain that same level of service. Police are still going to be routinely patrolling. If you call 911, the fire department and everybody else is still going to show up just as they would. So we don't plan on shutting down any of our essential services, but there are some programs that we will have to reevaluate or eliminate altogether, but they won't be deemed what we call essential.
Yes.
Correct me, Manager Daniels, but we adopt every year a 5-year capital improvement plan, and there are going to have to be some major capital improvements that we're going to have to look at post-funding. I hope to see our city being more aggressive in seeking various grants We have a lot of infrastructure needs forthcoming, and I hope we can take advantage of what's available, but we have got to be more involved in grant requesting. And Manager Daniels, you might be able to speak to that, but we got to look at other sources of revenue, grants being one of them, or we going to have to perhaps delay or postpone for a long time some capital
I'm glad
projects.
you mentioned that, Councilmember Harris. I know this is the listening session for awards, I think 5, 6, and 7. So in your ward, Councilman Harris, there's a pump station that is currently being renovated or replaced altogether. All of our current capital projects that we are actively working on, we will continue to work on those. The ones that are planned for this year, we will likely be delaying those. So that's a good point. You talk about capital projects. So the things that we're currently working on, contracts that we currently have, we're going to continue to work on those. They're the ones that have not already started. Those are the ones that could possibly be delayed to a future year or just eliminated for quite some time. But we're trying to maintain our infrastructure. That's the main thing. And I know that's one that's specifically in your ward. So that's one that we have to finish. We can't leave it unfinished. So there'll be things of that like that we'll continue to evaluate as time goes on. But again, if we're currently working on something, our goal is to complete that project, but also look for other sources of revenue, like you mentioned, grants. And we're steady pursuing those. We actually just received one just the other day for Stiff Talbot Park, which is a $500,000 grant. So we're still going to operate as a city. We just have to tighten our belt on the finances and do a better job of reporting so that not only council could be aware, but the citizens can be aware as well.
Jabbar.
And I think another thing is we talked about today with the city manager is we talk about land, and I know on Tom Betts in Ward 7 we have about 55 acres the city purchased. We got to be aggressive with this land. We got to find a way to see what we're going to do with this land. We've been buying all over Rocky Mount, but we got to get aggressive with development. So I guess what we'll do in the next few weeks, few months, we'll call a meeting with Carolina Gateway Partnership to see what can we do to be very, very aggressive with this land that we have. And I get people talk about the 336, but it's several places in the city of Rocky Mount, especially I know Ward 7, where we have blight areas. So we got opening in a few weeks. What is it? Rodale is coming. That's a development where we had some land that was just sitting there. So that'll also help. But we got to be aggressive with this land. We got to be aggressive with development, and we got to do it ASAP. We can't just continue to sit on it. We got to be aggressive and go get it while it's hot, and we got to go get it. So that's one way that we can get it. And reducing force is not going to always do it. Always raising taxes is not going to get it when you got resources there to make it happen. So I think we got to be aggressive with making it happen. And that's our approach. I think we've been meeting the last 2 weeks, Manager Daniels, about what can we do to be aggressive with getting the land off the city of Rocky Mount hands. So that's another way. Instead of just keep cutting the employees and raising the taxes, that's a way we can make it happen.
So one overarching question is related to the utility, the increase you spoke to earlier, and I'll just ask these real quick. Is the increase affect both residential and commercial and industrial? And will the increases sunset, or will they continue on?
So the first part of that question is yes. It will impact industrial, commercial, and residential. Will it sunset? That depends. Right, we have to see where we are with our projections. We don't anticipate, for example, that the gas will be very long, but on the electric side, it's just something that we have to evaluate. So don't have a definitive answer for that yet. It really just depends on where our revenues and expenditures are. But our goal is to try to maintain what we can. But I will say that the city had not adjusted electric rates since 2015 up until now. And on the gas side, I think it was around 2017. So we really hadn't done the best job with keeping up with the market. And that's because we had what they call rate stabilization funds to, whenever the market adjusted, we used that to kind of keep the rates where they are. But now in our current situation, we no longer have those funds available to stabilize the rate. So we got to kind of adjust as the market adjusts.
And to speak specific to that, so we're clear, who approves the utility rates increases? And this particular increase, is it a rate increase or is there something else that it speaks to?
So it's actually two. So we have a purchase gas agreement. That is something that is handled on the administrative side. So when I say administrative, myself, finance, and the energy resources director. On the electric side, according to our policy and the mandates, that is all those rate adjustments have to be approved by the city council.
Gotcha.
I want to touch a little bit, and I'm not an expert by any means, and I might completely mess this up, but the PGA, the Purchase Gas Agreement, I think one thing that we need to do a better job here at the City of Rocky Mount is that's based on the market. It's based on, we do that at cost. I know we have some experts in here on this, but that needs to be looked at monthly, if not quarterly. And again, to what the city manager has articulated, that really needs to go up and down based on what the market is, because that we sell that at cost, I believe, and we just make the money on the transportation piece. And I could be wrong on that, but it's just like when you go to the gas station and fill up your car. You might not be paying the same thing you paid last week you are this week. It's just based on the market. So, just wanted to make that clear. And I might have murdered that whole one. And I'm looking at some people right now, and
I'll say it was close, but I'm not going to get into the details. What I will say though is that our neighbors in the region for the purchase gas agreement, they adjust theirs monthly. We have not done that, and that's a fact. I see any heads nodding close to around there. Oh, they used to. So we'll be looking at other ways, and this is something that's new to me because I'm new to this role. But we'll be looking at every avenue to make sure that we have enough revenue to cover our expenses.
I'm not sure we can speak to this yet, and I don't know the terminology as well, but did the independent audit include a management letter?
Every independent audit includes a management letter.
Okay.
Each comprehensive audit report, after we approve it, is published online on the city's website as well as the management letter. Isn't that correct, Manager Daniels?
That is correct. But just so you know, the 25 isn't done. It won't be done until hopefully, Cheryl, when you can get that new one done?
Before the first of the year.
Okay, it'll be finished by the deadline, but the previous ones are online.
So I think this one really, if you can just speak to the parallels of how will city cut costs, and we already spoke to that, and at the same time increase revenue. If you can just, if you can elaborate. If we
The
haven't
two
already spoken.
revenue sources that we are currently exploring is the purchase gas agreement, which will mean about a $20 increase for the typical residential home in Rocky Mount. And on the electric side, it'll equate to about an $8 increase. So those are the only two revenue sources that we currently have. And then as we go through the budgeting process for the revised budget, as well as the upcoming fiscal year 27 budget, we will have a good look at all of our revenues. But during the course of a year, once the budget has been adopted, you really don't have any source to adjust revenue. Now, hopefully a bunch of people move in the city. Hopefully we get a bunch of business opening up, and then we can get sale tax revenue. But what we're projecting is off of what we have now.
So one question that we've heard is how long will it take for us to get back on our feet and get back to those kind of projections, the rainy day fund minimum?
Well, you can't get $100 million overnight. So, it's going to take some time. Rough estimates, 4 or 5 years. That's just the truth. But that really just depends on the market. That depends on the development that we have coming. That depends on what tax rate we set. I mean, there's a lot of variables, but you can lose money fast. It's hard to get it get it back. So it's really just going to take us tightening up our belt again and just being very fiscally conservative, but still make sure that we do the things that make Rocky Mount unique. We still have to have programs for our youth. We still have to provide reasonable rates. We still have to have all the things that make this city a great city that people want to live in. But at the same time, we just have to do a better job with our finances. And that's not something that's going to be top down. It's not going to come from me. I mean, I'm going to have my recommendations. It's my job as city manager and by law to be the budget manager and present a balanced budget to the board, but it's going to take everyone. It's going to take the citizens to come up with ideas. It's going to take the council members. Everybody's going to be in this together. And that's really the only way that we're going to recover. But to get a healthy fund balance, it's going to take several years.
Can you, acronyms is one of them, the LGC, what it means, and the fiscal year timing. How does that work for us as a city?
So LGC stands for Local Government Commission. They are the oversight board that oversees all of North Carolina's municipalities, which are cities, towns, villages, as well as counties. Fiscal year refers to the amount of time that we have in the year for our finances. I probably should let Cheryl answer this, but I know that the fiscal year starts on July 1 and it ends on June 30th. Is there anything else you'd like to add about fiscal year?
You have it.
I think we've spoken to this previously. What are the process city council is doing now to help better monitor the spending? I think Mr. Harris has spoken to this at other times, some of the reports, maybe to remind you. Can anyone speak to what you've recently done that's going to help improve that?
Bottom line, Manager Daniels has hired an expert finance director.
I agree with that, but we're also going to be getting any of us who, have a business or have been in a business or been in management of some sort, we're going to get the monthly reports. And we've been assured we'll get those, and we received one last week. Yeah, last week. I'm getting my weeks confused. Today's Wednesday, I believe. So
just to piggyback on my statement, I previously said I relied on information being accurate and timely. And that's what I was referencing with Ms. Spivey and Manager Daniels. We're going to be getting accurate information to the best that they can produce. Projections are projections, but they'll also be timely.
The only thing that I'll add to that is not only will council get them, we anticipate posting everything online on that new website, which is rmfinancialoutlook.com.
I believe you spoke to this before, and I think I'm reading this right. Why aren't taxpayers being asked to pay more before an independent audit is performed? And I think you spoke to when the tax rate is set at one point in time, maybe?
Yeah, the tax rate is set at the adoption of the budget. Our current tax rate, I think, is 62 cents on the $100 valuation. But yeah, that's set annually.
So there's nothing, to your point, there's nothing you can do to tax rate until it comes around.
That is my understanding.
Gotcha.
Cheryl, would you like to add to that?
You're correct.
A lot of these are overlapping. Let's see. Are cuts going to be made to the redevelopment plans such as Magorum project, restaurant loans, et cetera, instead of cuts to essential services like police and fire?
Everything will be evaluated.
Anyone want to fill in the gap while I try to find something new?
You can't say, this is not an easy thing to do. You can't add to it. We got to look at everything. I mean, there's nothing off the table. And we don't take it lightly. And I also want to add to what the cuts in staffing, RIFs, I'm not sure what the name, but no one from the mayor to the council to staff, that's not an easy thing for any of us. And in fact, that I wish we didn't have to do that, but we don't have an option at all because we understand, as I said in my opening statement, it impacts lives, it impacts people. And it's just a sad thing.
One of the things that I like to mention when he talked about the RIFs, the reduction in force, is my understanding that some of the positions that we currently have on city staff were not properly authorized by council. So those are the ones that we'll be starting with evaluating. Those positions that were currently hired that were not authorized by council.
I want to encourage those of you here and those of you who are viewing via the television or computer, if you have any ideas on what we can do to increase revenue, and or I couldn't hear what the response was. Let me finish first, and then we're answering questions right now. But if you have an idea on cost savings, or if you have an idea of, the city owns this particular piece of property or whatever, if you have people looking to come and live in our city, encourage them to come.
Yeah, last one really is just, this is kind of the wrap-up question. How do we move Rocky Mount forward, and what is the reshaping going to look like? How do we reshape our image from here?
We got some hard work to do, but I think the team that's in place, the mayor and the council and staff, we are committed to get this ship back where we need it to be. And we are going to work hard, and our aim is for you in a year or so be pleased with the efforts that we hope to make and will make in making this city a good place to call home. Commitment is unified, I think. We got to have the plan, we got to execute it, and I feel like we can properly execute.
Excellent. Elijah, if you want to close us out or anything?
Go ahead.
So I guess echo what Councilman Harris said is it's going to take everybody, I think, working together. Got to do a lot of listening in this season, in this time. And we don't have all the answers. We don't. But I think where we are has happened for a reason to, I guess, the last year the council has been moving as one. I must say, no matter how it looks on the outside, we've been kind of getting it together, working together, making it happen. I think this will make us even stronger to come back with a plan. We have a plan, and if we're not in, I guess we're in bad shape, but we're not as bad as it thinks. If that was the case, LGC would have took us over right then. But I think the state auditor will come out. We have to wait till that's finished to know where we went wrong at with the $100 million that's gone, and that'll tell us. But I think the moving forward for Rocky Mount is working together and moving as one and coming up with a plan and sticking to the plan. And I think that's the way we move forward.
No, hold. Okay, I hear you, and great question. We do have, we've got the Chamber of Commerce we work with. We've got the Carolinas Gate. I understand. I understand. We okay, and I understand, and I appreciate it. We have organizations that we work with. There's things that we need to such as Carolinas Gateway Partnership, the Chamber, and then we have a downtown manager. We also, like everything that was said earlier, we need to reevaluate. And this is actually I think Councilman Jabaris Walker hit on it. This is an opportunity to reset this city and to look at priorities and look where we're going. It's a horrible way to do it. Horrible way to do it. But at this point, we don't have a choice. But I will say, I think I can, I'm not going, I'm going to speak for those here, but I'm confident the rest of the council, reach out to us. You know, if you've got a question, ask the question. If we can answer it, we will. If we don't know the answer, we will find out. We recognize the hardship this is having on everyone, and we recognize I would imagine the emotions everyone is going through anger and everything else. And I personally appreciate each and every one of you taking the time out of your schedule to come here. We will get through this.
And just to be clear, all the questions that we have here that we pulled together, they will, if they weren't answered tonight, will be directed directly to council for follow-up. And, yes, sir.
Somebody said about the Bearcat. We're trying to sell it right now. You know, somebody want to buy it. I think we're reaching out to different cities to try to sell the Bearcat now. So, say it again.
City manager.
No, but all
Yeah. What I'll say is, he's referring to, somewhat of a military style vehicle that the police department owns. And so one of our things that we're doing from a staff level is assessing all of our capital equipment that we have, and we may be able to sell equipment, things that we got that probably we want it, but not necessarily need. So we'll be assessing that. And this is something that local governments do all the time. So again, when I tell you that we're going to leave no stone unturned, that's what we mean. We're going to be looking at staff. We're going to look at programs. We're looking at equipment. But at the same time, we don't want to get rid of something that we desperately need. So that's what we'll be doing over the next couple of weeks. But there are some things that we got over the last few years that are probably not used heavily. So we'll look at that. And there's also some vehicles, because we have a rental agreement with a lot of our light duty vehicles. So if they're not heavy use, we're going to look at returning those as well. So we're looking at every avenue possible.
I'd like to thank you everyone for coming tonight and appreciate it. And all the other answers will go directly to council. Harris, I didn't see you. Go ahead,
Well,
sir.
I just wanted to lead tonight. I empathize with y'all. This has been a couple of tough weeks, and I really want you to know it's been hard. And I know a lot of you, and I know everybody is in the boat. But one thing that I'm looking forward to, and I'm hoping that when we get the auditor's report, that they're going to present the facts, et cetera. But they've been through this before. They might have ideas that we might not have even considered about how we can perhaps streamline our operations. So, as manager just said, no stone is going to be unturned. Again, we have council meetings. If you have a good idea on cost savings or revenue, come speak to the council. We love to hear from you. Thank you so much for being here. We value you, and we look forward to working together to make this city what we all want it to be.
Thank y'all.